to the love that has laid hold of me. I'm holding on to the love that has laid hold of me.
Good morning once again, FCF, and we are, I think, in the 6th day of our journey as we're taking some of the bigger events in the early Old Testament. We met Abraham last week in Genesis chapter 12. Now we go from Abraham, and then he had a son Isaac, and then Isaac had a son Jacob. Jacob is a key character, so we're going to pick up his story. Now, if you want to read his whole story, and I strongly urge you to do so, Jacob's story really starts in Genesis chapter 25, and it really pretty much goes almost to the end of the book. There's 50 chapters in Genesis. He's not in every facet of it, but he's largely there. But the storyline for Jacob really picks up in chapter 27. Jacob is not a good guy. He's a rascal from the beginning. He has a twin brother called Esau. He's always outsmarting Esau. He's always tricking him and deceiving him. He cheats the man out of his birthright. He and his mother, they're not real nice people. They plot against poor Esau. Esau is this simple, big-hearted outdoors guy, and Jacob just keeps essentially ripping him off. Anyway, when he steals his birthright, Esau gets so mad. He's a simple guy. He says, as soon as Isaac, my dad, is dead, I'm going to kill this guy. He's cheated me enough. I'm going to kill him. And he intended to. He probably would have. So his mother sends Jacob away to go live with his uncle, to run and hide for a while. And years have gone by. I mean, it's over 20 years now. And so the Lord tells Jacob, I want you to go back. I want you to go back home now. It's time. And he knows back home is brother Esau. He also knows this, that brother Esau has found out that he's heading home, and brother Esau is coming toward him with 400 men. And needless to say, Jacob is terrified. He has a large family by this time. He has a lot of cattle and possessions. And he's now where there's the point of no return. He's going to cross over this river, and he's going to have to face his brother tomorrow morning. And then something remarkable occurs. Let me read it to you. In Genesis chapter 32, and I'm going to start reading in verse 23. Genesis 32, verse 23. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. That was his family and everything he sent, and his cattle and so forth. Verse 24. So Jacob was left alone. And a man, notice the description, a man wrestled with him till daybreak. Sounds bizarre. A man out of nowhere. He's alone, but then this man comes and they wrestle till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, Let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. That's an interesting thing. Why would he say this to an ordinary man? The man asked, What is your name? Jacob, he answered. The man said, Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God. Pause. Wait a minute. It says he was wrestling with a man. But Jacob knows this is no ordinary man. And he says to the man, I won't let you go unless you bless me. Let me read it again. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. The man asked him, What is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome. Jacob said, Please tell me your name. But he replied, Why do you ask my name? Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, It is because, get this, it is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared. This is one of these remarkable events we have in the Old Testament. They occurred freely, where Jesus, before he came to the planet as Jesus of Nazareth, born in the manger, Jesus, in his pre-incarnate state, before he came as Jesus of Nazareth, he appeared in a human form, sometimes called the angel of God, the messenger of God, sometimes called God. It's Jesus, though. It's God in a human form. We meet him earlier in Genesis chapter 18 and 19. You can read that. Once again, Abraham is sitting and eating a meal, and he sees what he thinks are three men coming toward him. When they get closer, he realizes, even though they look exactly like men, two of them are angels, and one of them is once again the Lord. It's Jesus. So here is this remarkable experience. Jesus literally wrestles with this guy, and what this shows to you and I is that our God wants to get so close to us that we can feel his breath on our face. He wants to grab us. He wants to wrestle all that is bad out of us. He wants to wrestle us until he can bless us the way he wants to bless us. Jacob was a rascal. He was a foolish man. He was a rebel. He was a runner. God just keeps holding on, because what God knew was that Jacob did indeed trust him. He was just a man that needed a lot of trimming up and a lot of buffing up, just as I do, just as most of us do. Notice that his name is changed to Israel. Now we're getting close to what we know to be the birth of the nation Israel. Little word. He ends up having 12 sons. What are the tribes of Israel? The 12 tribes of Israel from the 12 sons of Jacob. Jacob becomes Israel. God, first of all, revealed himself to Abraham. He reveals himself and says, will you trust me? Abraham trusts God and follows him. Now he's going to create ultimately a nation, an entire nation. He's going to reveal himself to them, and then he's going to reveal himself through them to the rest of the world, right down to you and I today. This is a big event. Read Jacob's story, because he's quite an enjoyable character, but character he is. Goodbye for today.
I'm holding on to the love that has laid hold of me. I'm holding on to the love that has laid